Alright, we're on the passenger side hoses, and I'm going to tell you something. There's no way I'm going to be able to record this with the cameraman in the way. I won't be able to get at all the clamps and hoses. But pretty much, this is how the system works. So your heated water comes here, goes into your heater core. Now after it's chilled a little bit, goes into this. This is your heater core outlet. And this pipe runs all the way to the other side of the engine. And for lolly kicks and giggles, there's one more hose down here, and this one's been leaking on me during warm-up. So there's this one right here.
Okay.
And that is a dealership part. I'll put the part number up now. But this hose, this one's been leaking on me for a couple years now. It wasn't much, and I just let it go, but since we're doing all the cooling system, you might as well do it all right once the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So other than that, when I get done with this job, I'll show you what the new hoses look like, but there's just no way to record that. It's just basically R&R. If you watch the other side, it's the same thing. Cut the hose, rip it out, put the new one in, put the clamp on, call it good. Alright, I got all the hoses disconnected, and the hose that was giving me the biggest problem is this short one. I actually had to cut it completely through to get it off. Now here's the bad news. That water pipe right here my hand is on is going to have to come off, because you're not sliding it back and then going forward with it. You're going to wreck the hose if you do that. Unfortunately, there's two bolts. There's one somewhere here, well, three. This bolt has to come off, and there's a bolt underneath going into the head. It has to come off to get this thing to be loose. So this hose has to come off, this hose has to come off, this thing has to come out. And I'm not showing that on camera just because of the fact that there's just no clearance here. You know, a lot of jobs will try to show that you can do at home, and this is one that you've really got to know what you're doing. Don't think this is going to be your first time doing this and you're going to have the same results I am. It just doesn't work that way. Alright, when I get the pipe off, I'll show you the rest of the system, because I've got to refurbish this pipe to put it back together. Now I know why it was leaking. It got rusty. No clamp's going to hold back rust. Alright, we'll be back with you in a bit. Oh, finally got this water pipe out, and why I had to take it out, there's two reasons. One, there's no way to clean that much crud off while it's installed. Two, this hose distance is so short that there's no way you're going to squeeze the hose and then shove it back this way. You have to install it on this side first, then push this hose into it, and I put a line there so I know right how far I have to go back in with it. I will tell you what, this was difficult. The heat shield had to come off. Power steering reservoir had to move, the battery had to come out. Like, this was not an easy repair. So if you have this hose go bad, I know it's going to cost a lot of money, but take it to a shop. Otherwise, be ready for some pain. So here's a look at everything I had to dismantle to get at that one bolt, just to get room opened up. So back there, right there is where that little hose goes into. And there's no way of getting to it without dismantling that pipe. It wasn't designed that way. So the heat shield's got to come off. There's a bolt that goes into the engine, the head, right here. I can be able to see it, but there's a bolt here that holds the pipe in, and then there's a bolt right there. Yeah. This job was not easy by any means, stretch of the imagination. I'm lucky though, on this side coming in it wasn't too bad, but the pipe coming out had some crud on it. I'm not quite sure why one pipe is clean and the other pipe's not, but whatever. You can clean it up. One thing about these engines, you definitely want to do cooling every 50,000 miles. Alright, we're going to get this thing reassembled, and I'll show you what it's like when it's put back complete. Yeah, there was no showing this repair, unfortunately. It's not easy. Even 20 years doing this kind of thing, I kind of fuss with it a bit. And I know what I'm doing. I can only imagine what it'd be like someone who hasn't had a lot of experience trying to tear this thing down. It's not, I'd recommend that for you. Alright, thanks. Oh boy, the saga continues. So, we ordered aftermarket heater hoses right here. And the problem we found is that it fits on this side fine. When you get to the heater core, which is right there at your inlet, the hose just slides on. There's no resistance. And don't think you're going to clamp your way past that, because it's just going to leak past. And if it leaks past right there, you're actually going to blow coolant right into the heater core compartment. Then you're going to get coolant all inside the dash, on the floor, and then you're going to think you have a heater core problem. Well, you don't have a heater core problem, you have a hose problem. And we had to go to Nissan again for another custom hose that was not available. Luckily we found one in Arizona, but you know, the fact being is that the aftermarket companies that are building parts, you guys need to do a better job. Starting to get a little ridiculous with parts that don't work. But in a second I'm going to take this one off and I'm going to show you the difference between the aftermarket and the factory hose I had to order an overnight here from Arizona. There is a difference, and we'll show you that. Okay, so this hose right here is from O'Reilly's. It's an ACO hose. And if you can see here, here's the heater core inlet. Here's the factory hose. I mean, the ID, which is inner diameter, is definitely smaller here. This will never ever seal. Now, go a step further. Here's one from AutoZone.
All of them are big.
Yeah, none of them fit. This guy says, cut this down and fit. But even if you cut this hose down right here, you still have the problem that this end is not the same as this end. And that is really irritating because, yeah, this end would fit. That's the out the thermostat pipe hole. But this is going into the heater core. Definite size difference. And I was wondering why there's two different clamps here. Well, mystery solved. They're two different hose sizes, so they restrict it down to get more flow into it, speed up velocity, fine, whatever, but really it should be equal, but they can't change that. So you're off getting another factory hose, and that number, just so you have to find it and replace it, 92400-4W010. Alright, put this hose in and we'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Yeah, I'm going to grab that aftermarket hose and show you what I'm talking about. So this is what happens when you put the aftermarket on. No resistance. No sealing, in other words. Alright, put our factory clamp back in. Put our new hose on. See how tight that fits? That's what you want. I mean, the seal's here. This is just keeping the hose from trying to blow off this way. Alright, grab my clamp tool. Alright, now we'll put the bottom one back in. The bottom one's a little bit more trickier just because you can't really get to it. Which is why people don't use these and they just go back to traditional clamps, but once these are set, you don't have to worry about them losing their tension. Alright, with the clamp tool, if you don't have one of these, I suggest you get one if you're going to attempt this job. Alright, feeling for the nipple edge. At least if you can get this on, you can adjust it afterwards. Alright, that one's sat. Oh boy. Yeah, this is a job, but this is a 10. I'm just going to tell you straight up, you better have some knowledge, good tools, lots of patience. I've been doing this for 25 years and this thing has still been a challenge. I mean, we had to take the heat shield off to get the one bolt so we can move the pipe here. As you can see, I don't have it in yet because we're still doing adjustments. There's actually two bolts that hold this pipe on, the one here and one right underneath this bolt. And for those of you that are having the starting issue and replace the starter and the battery and you're still having the problem, I believe it's going to be a ground cable problem. The only ground the engine actually gets is right here, and it bolts right here, which means this pipe has to carry the complete ground load back. And the fix I'm going to try to do, I'm actually going to run another ground cable from the battery to the intake. So once I get the battery back in and get the intake hooked up, there'll be one big gauge cable like this running all the way back. So that way, This is weak. We still have plenty of connection that'll go through these bolts right here to get the ground back to the engine. There's just not a lot of grounding points on this engine. It's a good engine when it runs good, but when it breaks, boy, it's painful. Alright, we'll get back to you when I get more put back together. It's still hard to record. I try to do our best, but there's just some jobs that just, I don't know, they're too tough to record. Alright, we'll be back with you. Alright, I just spent the last hour getting that heat shield on. You must take this heat shield off if you're going to take this water pipe right here off. There's just no way around it. I fuddled with it and almost stripped the bolt during trying to do it. So these are 10 mils to hold the shield on. Got to put the shield on, then the ground, and then you can put this stuff back together, and then you're off to the races with the front of the engine. Yeah, I will say this has been an interesting repair. This is probably be once in the life of this vehicle, because the next time it breaks this bad, Mom's getting another car.
Not a QX80.
Not a QX80. I mean, 400 horsepower, cool, but if you look at the engine, oof. I mean, you think this is bad? Add 2 more cylinders, add about 2 more cam phasers, add some sensors in the back, and I can guarantee you nothing's going to be easy to work on that. And parts, the newer it is, the harder it is to get.
$5,000 it's worth of it.
$5,600 we saw for that used engine.
$5,600. Yeah.
Well, this engine I can get used for like $1,100 shipped to my door.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're not slowly getting there. Yeah, I wish I could have showed you that, but they're just some repairs that, no matter how I want to record it, it just ain't going to come out good. And it's just one of those things where I can show you progress, and that's about the best I'm going to do for you. So if that's okay for you, you know, leave a like in the comments, say, you know, it's okay, I'd like to watch at least anything to show me things. And leave a like to let me know you like these kind of videos, because with these newer cars, this may be the way we're going, just showing you spot things instead of the entire repair. Alright, gotta continue on, back in a bit.